Hi, everybody. I just want to come out today and discuss some observations that I have made in terms of watching people do practice readings in some of my circles or classes and sessions, and also for the private sessions that I do with outside readers. And I'm hoping some of these issues that I will address will help you, and then your readings will flow better and be better, and you can just be fabulous, as you all can be if you just work at it and practice, practice, practice. Okay. So I did a few other videos which I will post below in terms of your spirit and spiritualizing yourself and the intention that we should put out there for mediumship, which is to be of service. So I'm not really going to discuss any of that. If you haven't seen those, they are on my YouTube channel, and I know I've posted them in a lot of my my groups and pages, but I will link them below. So that's good because it just talks a little bit about the prep work you can do internally to understand that we're being of service, that we're ambassadors to the spirit world here in the physical realm, and also building your own spirit and the linking and the blending and all those things. But this is going to be a talk just on when you're in a reading with a sitter sitting next to you, sitting across from you. Um, and so that's what I'm going to discuss now. So the first thing I want to discuss is the most common thing. And the reason I try to get people out of this habit, I will explain in a second, but it's reading with your eyes closed. And a lot of times when I tell people, open your eyes for evidential mediumship, the answer they will give me, or the reason they will give me why they're keeping their eyes closed, is that they can see better. But if you think about it, that really does not make any sense, because the spirit world is working through your clairvoyance, your spirit eyes, your clear seeing. So they're not really using your physical eyes. So it makes no difference. You can see just as well clairvoyantly with your eyes open as with your eyes closed. If people feel that they are getting distracted and they can focus more with their eyes closed, what I always suggest to them, so if you're my medium, right, and I'm your sitter, just move your eyes just to my hairline or on my forehead, so you're not really looking at me, because I understand if you don't want to look in a sitter's face, sometimes it can make you feel nervous. I get that. Or because we're all sensitives, I can give a reading to you and I can tell just in your facial expressions or lack of a facial expressions or look in your eye, I can sort of tell if I'm on the right track or not. So I don't like to look right at the sitter either. But what I'll do is I'll just look above their hairline or on their forehead. So I'm not really looking in their eyes. Or what I really do, and it works very well online, is so if I'm your sitter, you can focus your eyes just on the frames in the back. Sorry, where's my finger here? The frames on the back on the wall. So I'm actually, if I'm the sitter, I'm going soft in the foreground and I'm just focusing on the picture frames in the back. So it looks like you're looking at the sitter, but you're looking away. So you're not getting sort of the stimulation of a sitter's expression or lack of expression or look in their eyes. But the reason I do believe that keeping your eyes open is important, actually, one or two reasons. The first reason, it just exudes confidence, which I'll get to more. That's the next point I'm going to make, is being confident. But if your eyes are closed, for, it comes off not as confidence to me. So you need to engage with the sitter to a point. I'll talk about that as well, but it's more confident with your eyes open, and you can sort of just interact a bit more with your sitter and be there, be present. Because I think when your eyes are closed, you kind of disappear, and then what happens then? The second reason, it's actually psychology. Because if you're the sitter and I'm your medium, my eyes are closed, and I'm quiet for a bit, this you don't quite know what to do with your energy. So you, the sitter, start to get a bit scattered, and your energy might start to go down, because the point of a mediumship reading is, it works in a higher vibration. So you have to keep the vibrations up. But if your eyes are closed, I find your energy starts to dip a bit, and then the sitter's energy starts to dip a bit. And then it's really hard to recover from that and bring the energy back up and just get back on track. So psychology wise, it's helpful just to have your eyes open and then just engage, and the energy is higher. So, and the sitter doesn't get scattered and not really know where to look and what to do. So yeah, just try to keep your eyes open. For trance, completely different. Your eyes should be closed in trance, and a lot of times for healing, your eyes are closed. That's fine. But for evidential mediumship, try to keep your eyes open. I'm going to loop back now to what I started to talk about a second ago: confidence. Please remember that as the medium, you are driving that car. You are captain of that ship. Of course, the spirit world is controlling the reading. Obviously, they're the ones bringing through the evidence. But in terms of you setting up that practice session or professional session, whatever you're doing, you have to hold the power in that session, because you have to explain exactly how you work, that you need to hear the sitter's voice. They should come with high energy. Anything that you need from the sitter, you need to let them know, and you need to direct them, because I've seen a lot of readings go completely off the rails from a medium not controlling it and just telling the sitter how they need to work. So that exudes confidence too, because you have to hold the power. You have to be confident when you give a mediumship reading. How you get there, it's many different ways to get there, but I feel the most important part of building your confidence is just practice, learn, improve. But the more you practice, the better you get. The better you get, the more confidence you have. But so the spirit world want us to be confident and bold and brave. Be brave and bold with your development, and just exude this level of confidence. In the beginning, will you have to fake it till you make it? Probably you will. But just be confident and hold the power. Just build your power and hold that light, that power to control that, whatever you're doing, 35, 45 minutes or so for one mediumship reading, with a few different contexts in there, obviously. But you're holding the power. So be confident. Just be present. Sit up straight. Speak, enunciate. Be confident with the evidence you're bringing through. And like I said before, that comes with time, but don't get so nervous and let the anxiety start to kick in that you just get really self-conscious and the confidence just starts to fall. Because, the sitter also needs to know that their medium is confident and they know what they're doing. But that it just comes with time. But just please work on your confidence, and really the only way to get there is to just practice and keep going, keep moving, stay in motion. Okay, you're only as good as your next reading. Don't worry about that last reading that you might have bombed. We all bomb sometimes. Keep moving, get back on the horse. You have to continuing with confidence. The other thing that I find that is just like a reading killer is pauses. When you're saying, I have your father stepping forward, and your father is telling me that he used to be in the army. Pause. Then the eyes might close. Pause. The energy just is sucked out of that reading. Okay, so a pause for over like a second and a half, 2 seconds starts to bring the energy down. So just keep going, keep talking, keep allowing the spirit world to impress their evidence through you, however they're doing, whatever clair they're using, or multiple clairs. Keep talking. If you have to go back, if you're really not getting anything, or feel you're not getting anything, which is usually the case, go back and just reiterate. Okay, so you can understand your father's in spirit. Yes, okay. And he was in the army. Yes, okay. And he was a rather stern gentleman, but had like a secret sense of humor. Yes, okay. And then, so if you're repeating the evidence, not many times to be annoying, but just if you need to go back and recap as you're just blending more, fine. You can also do, which is what I do a lot, because people don't really notice it. If you feel you're falling out of your power, or you're falling out of your blend, you can just say, evidence. Oh, excuse me. Take a sip of whatever. Always have some sort of beverage, non-alcoholic, please, near you, because spirit work does dehydrate you. But as you're taking a sip, just build your power up really quickly again, reestablish your blend, strengthen your link. So there's not really much of a pause. And the pause that you are taking, you're doing something that's active. Okay. But watch the pauses, because the energy just gets sucked out of the reading when you pause it. Okay. And that also shows that the sitter isn't confident, right? So keep going, keep it moving. An object in motion stays in motion. Keep moving, keep talking, keep bringing the evidence through. And the higher you bring your vibration up, the spirit will communicate through you a lot easier. Okay. So, and that also, I'm summoning, a lot of these actually have to do with confidence. That's fun. Okay. So the next one is in the delivery of the evidence. What I find people should not do is say, I think that he liked music. I think she was rather a petite woman or a plump woman. I think, because honestly, mediumship has nothing to do with your conscious mind. So you should not be thinking anyway, but it's not, it's sort of, it's going back to like the confidence. And I think it's kind of like, well, maybe I think this is right, maybe I don't, but it's, you're staying within your mind. So you should try to get away from I think and move into I know that you would understand, or I feel, or I'm hearing music, or I'm seeing this, or I'm feeling this. But when you use I think too much, it's hard, because if you're used to using I think, it's ingrained, and you'll do it. But if you start correcting it after you say it, like, well, I think I feel, or I know that you would understand, then it'll fade out after a while. But a lot of people will say I think because they're just used to it. But try to get away from I think, because it's not confident, and it's keeping you in your mind, which the enemy is. The enemy to mediumship is the conscious mind. So you should try to get away from anything with thinking to help you, and also too many questions. When the medium fires back a ton of questions, to me it means they're fishing. Was his name Eric? No. John? No. Stephen? No. And then you're just guessing. And then you're going to throw out like 20 questions. You might get 3 or 4 right, but that's not evidence, and that's not mediumship. That's just a guessing game. So be confident with it. Was your father in the army? Instead of that, if you really feel they were in the army, say, I know that you would understand that there's a military connection with your father. Yes. Or I can see him in an army or Navy uniform. Yes, because that really builds up the confidence, and then the spirit world can work with you better. But the more questions you do, it's not confident, and it doesn't show as confidence. So try to get away from questions. Maybe I'm okay with, like, is your mother in spirit? Yes, I'm okay with that. Or did you have a sister in spirit? Yes, because now I'm sensing 2. I'm sensing a sister energy stepping forward. So I know there's your mother and your aunt. I'm okay with 1 and 2 questions. I get that. But if it just becomes, is your aunt in spirit? No. Is your mother in spirit? No. Is your grandmother, your cousin, your friend? That right away, like I said, that's not mediumship. That's a guessing game. And to me, there's no evidence in that at all. So watch the questions, and it's all about the phrasing. Like I said before, instead of I think, say I know that you would understand, I feel, I hear, I see, I know. And instead of asking questions, just try to say, your mother, I know that your mother had a great sense of humor. I can hear her laughter, things like that. But just get away from I think and too many questions, and it just makes things easier. Okay, the next one's quite a big one, so let me see if I can just make it a bit tighter and not speak too long about it. Is controlling the sitter. I mentioned it before, but like I said, you're as the medium, you're driving that car. You're the captain of that ship. So you have to explain to the sitter what your expectations are. Bring high energy. Higher vibrations, it makes the mediumship reading much easier for all of us, because they work higher, on a higher frequency, like I said, than we do. Be happy. It's joyful. It's a reunion. And what else do you need from them? You need to, if you work with their voice, which I do, I'm very clear. Give me, I just want to hear clearly and loudly a yes and no. I don't know. I need more information. That's all I want. I don't want to say, I have a gentleman stepping forward and this is father energy. And then sometimes the sitter will kick in, oh, that's my father, and he was in the army and he died in 1994 of cancer. And I'm like, stop. Don't feed me. Just tell me yes, no, I don't know, need more information. Don't let them feed you, because what's the point if they're going to tell you everything? And even if you bring through that evidence and you know that, it's not evidence, because they're telling you. So it's like, oh, I knew that too, but they're telling you before you can actually read that for them. So there's no point. But you have to tell them, just give me short yes, no, I don't know. I need more information, or I have to check. But that's it. I don't want to hear anything else from them. I don't want them asking me too many questions, because if you start engaging with me too much, then I'm getting back in my mind, and my link is weakening, and the blend is not as good as it should be. So I'm not. I really just want to hear like a positive or a negative response, and that's it. I'm not into the questions and saying, "Can I ask my father questions?" I'm like, no. Your father's going to bring through what your father wants to bring through, and I don't want you asking me questions, because it's going to completely throw out of my link, and then I sometimes I'm really thinking it's just coming from me, um, and so I don't want questions. Maybe at the end of the sitting, I might, if they're talking to me about their spiritual path or being deep, not understanding grief or things like that, I might then speak with them a bit. Or if they're interested in mediumship or things like that, yes. But in terms of when I'm in a reading, I don't want to say, "Do you have any questions for your grandmother? Is there anything you want to know from your father?" No, I don't want to do that, because also, you're planning a session for a certain amount of time. So if you open it up to questions, it can just go on and on and on, and then you're going way over. So no questions. And the other thing I don't like, and I know people do this, and I kind of don't understand why, is sometimes I think they don't have any spirit contacts coming through. They think they don't. I believe that everyone does, but sometimes you can block yourself. But when you say, if the medium says, "Is anyone in particular you want to hear from?" To me, that's like a huge no-no, because mediumship, it's not a phone, and that's really dangerous, because if I'm working with you and you're the sitter and you had a mediumship reading about a month ago, and the medium said, "Oh, who do you want to hear from? Your mother? Okay, let's bring your mother through." Like they're dialing the mother up on her iPhone in the spirit world, and the mother's just appearing. I don't really think that's the way it works. Who comes through is supposed to come through. So I don't do that. And the other reason I don't like to do that, and I don't like people to do this in the classes that I run, is like, if you're my medium again, and I'm the sitter, and you ask me, "Oh, is there anyone you want to hear from?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I would love to hear from my lovely grandmother." Right away, when I say that, in my energy field is coming all from psychically, from me, memories, how my grandmother looked, things we did together, things I might have inherited from her, but it's all here. So the medium can easily, if they're psychic, and all mediums are psychic, not all psychics are mediums, but they can go into my energy and just start pulling this information. So I don't really think that's a mediumship link. It's not mediumistically coming through, so I don't like that. I have a problem with that. So, but you have to control the sitter and all of these things that they might ask you. Can you bring my grandmother through? Can I ask my father questions? All of these things, you're controlling that. So you can say, "No, that's not the way I work." Um, and you see how it goes. So sometimes when you're setting up the appointments, they will say, "I want to hear from my father or my grandfather," and I'll say, I don't know who comes. I can't control who comes through. And a lot of times they're like, "Well, that's who I want to hear from," and I'm like, "Well, then I'm not your medium." And that there's plenty of others who will do that, and some mediums will actually charge more if you want to hear from a certain spirit. Lovely, lovely, lovely. So yeah, that all kind of goes back to controlling the sitter and their expectations. Okay, so give what you get. New subject. Give what you get. Don't question or doubt yourself. Just give what you get, because how else are you going to learn? So it's not up to me to understand the evidence coming through. Like, why are they showing me a donkey? I can't I can't just say donkey. What about a donkey? What is there? But they keep putting a donkey in front of me, or I hear a donkey, or I hear them talking about a donkey. I just have to say it. It's okay. I don't know what this is, but they want me to remind you of the donkey. And if the sitter says, "Oh my God, I completely understand that," great. I don't need to know what it is, maybe after. But during the reading, if you can you take the donkey? "Oh yeah," and they laugh, and it's a funny story for them. Fine, great. But if I don't trust myself enough, and I'm like, "Well, that's crazy. I can't say donkey. What does that have to do with anything?" And I don't say it, and then after the reading, the sitter might say, "Oh, and I'm surprised you didn't talk about the stuffed donkey that she gave me when I was in the hospital." And I'm like, "Oh, I got that. I didn't say it. Doesn't matter after the reading and after they tell you, then it's not evidence, regardless if you got it or not. So just give what you get. It's not up to you to decipher what this evidence is. Just give it. And if they can't take it, then you know you're not interpreting something correctly. But don't doubt yourself or edit yourself. Because it's sort of like if you're you have a spirit communicator and they're sort of impressing on you a name and they're saying like, Steve, 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 and you're not completely in the link fully, and you're like, well, I don't get names. I'm not going to give a name. Why should I even try to give a name? But so there's no point. And the spirit world is going to know, well, we're trying to impress a name through him or her, and they're not even trying. So why use our precious energy and power that way for a name to bring through a name? We'll just stick to talking about memories or physical descriptions or ways of passing. We're not even going to try anymore with names because they're not even going to trust themselves or us enough to bring the name through. So if you're hearing Steve, oh, can you take the name Steve? And if the sitter says no, okay, that's fine. But at least the spirit will know that you understood that they were trying to bring a name through to you. So they have to then work it out or develop you more, because remember, they are our best teachers. Absolutely. And they will help you develop and unfold the way that you need to, but they will work with you. And then the sitter might say, oh no, I can't take Steve. And at the end of the reading, they might say, oh, but his name was Dave. It's like, okay, at least I understood it was a one syllable name and it was a man's name. So give what you get. Just trust yourself and just do it, because there's no other way to really learn. Okay. And I'm a big believer in, I'm going to push myself, and I'm always going to push the spirit world for more. Give me more. Push yourself. And I understand a lot of times you have, practice readings, whatever, like 10, 15, 20 minutes for a reading. And you just want to, if you're doing well, you just want to get in and get out. You don't want to push yourself anymore because it's going so well. And maybe the next piece that's going to come through is not going to hit. And then, it's not as good. It's not a success. But push yourself. Always try to expand on the evidence and bring through 2 or 3 more pieces in the beginning, and then 4 or 5 more pieces, 6 or 7 more pieces, so on and so on. But really become sort of that personal trainer that at the gym, that nightmare trainer that's like, all right, 5 more push-ups, 2 more push-ups, 10 more push-ups, 3. But it's really a muscle, and it's really the stamina that you're building. So always try to get more. Push for more. Okay. And then also they'll learn, oh, that medium down there, oh, he's tough. She's a hard one. She makes us work. Good. You want them to work because you're going to work. So it's a partnership. So if you work harder, they'll work harder. But always try to get more evidence. Try. And just trust yourself and the spirit world enough that there is always more evidence to get. That I know. There's always more that they're putting in front of you. They're telling you, they're having you feel, that that you can smell, taste. Just bring a few more pieces through and really start building that muscle and stretch yourself to build. The next thing, it's so small, and I was debating if I should even put on my list, but I'm just going to mention it because it sort of irks me a bit. It's when people have a male stepping forward, have a female stepping forward. It's correct. It's a man or a woman, male, female, yes, but it's very cold, and I find it not so respectful. So if you were speaking about me and someone was saying, how's Joseph? Is he good to work with? Oh, he's a really nice male. He's a good male. It's like, is it wrong? It sounds wrong, right? But grammatically, it's not wrong. But it's not, it doesn't flow, and it's not personable, right? So I have a gentleman stepping forward, I have a woman stepping forward, I have a lovely lady stepping forward, I have a young child stepping forward. That's a boy or a girl, man, woman, lady, gentleman. Just, I don't know. I find it like a respect thing. sorry, nothing else to say about that one. Just think about that. If it resonates with you, but it makes sense, right? Because it's very cold, and I just don't. The point is to build a relationship with the spirit communicator. So you want to feel them as real people. They are real people, right? You want to engage with them as real people. So the more you can do to build that relationship, the better. So the closer you can get to them and realize this is a real man standing behind me. He just doesn't have a physical form like I do anymore. We're all spirit. We're just here in the physical realm with this body, this meat body, this matter body. But just, yeah, gentleman, lady, man, woman, boy, girl, just makes more sense to me. I know that a lot of people, when they start their development in their unfoldment classes, I understand why people do this, but I really do feel it's for beginners. It's where people have checklists. Everyone understand by that what I mean by checklists? Like, you have a list of what you're supposed to ask the spirit world: physical description, relationship, way of passing, memories, and so on and so forth. Objects that they would like to discuss. Show me this. Let me hear this. But it's a list, and I find a lot of mediums will say, "Let me just ask them about this. Let me talk to them about this. Let me see if they'll talk to me about how they passed." But doing all of that keeps you in your mind. So just endeavor to discover why they're coming, and allow them to just speak through you to their loved ones sitting in front of you, because that's why they're coming. And don't ask the questions, because that really keeps you in your mind, and it doesn't allow the flow to really start happening, and the blend and the link to strengthen, because you're always somewhere thinking, okay, I need to ask about the relationship, I need to ask about how they looked, how they passed, what they did, memories that they can share with the sitter, their loved one in front of you. But it just keeps you in your mind. So try to stay away from the checklist. And also, it's very mechanical. And there are a lot of mechanical mediums out there. And I think you just want to be more emotive. You want to be more emotional. Allow them to feel. I feel this woman would just hug me like a bear hug. I can feel this love or gratitude just coming from them through me to you. I can feel also, because they're people, they're human, they have a life, feel this level of regret or taking responsibility. So just allow them to build. And if you just stick to this really stagnant, cold list, it doesn't build. It just, I don't feel it. It's not organically building and growing. Okay, so try to stay away from that. I talked about not asking the sitter if they want to speak to a specific spirit. Okay, sorry, I kind of skipped around my list. The last thing I just want to talk about is, I guess it goes with the checklist. It's pre-linking. So, like, before the reading, a lot of people say, "Oh, I had your grandmother stepping forward like an hour and a half ago, and I took notes." I totally get it, and I do think the spirit world will work that way to a point with beginners, and they will work with beginners with the checklist, because it's a security thing. It's a safety net. So I completely get it, but you need to move yourself away from this, because pre-linking, the problem with pre-linking is then when you have the sitter in front of you and you basically had a whole conversation with their mother, their father, their partner, grandmother, grandfather, whatever, like an hour ago, it's all coming from memory. It's not an actual link, right? So what I do, Spirit doesn't really try to pre-link with me anymore. But if they do, just say, "Thank you very much. You need to just wait an hour. Thank you," for the reading to start and the sitter to arrive, because it's not, it's memory. It's not a reading, right? So yeah, you can say, "Oh, I had an hour ago, I had a gentleman visit me." I guess you could give the sitter the information you got, but it's cold. It's already left the building. So try not to pre-link, and also with the checklists. But I get it. So don't beat yourself up if you do it or you have done it. It's a safety net. But at some point, if you really want to progress and really want to develop into the wonderful medium that you hope to be, you have to get rid of the safety nets, and you have to just fly with faith and trust in yourself and in spirit. Okay. So yeah, that's what I wanted to mention. I'm sure there are like 10 more things that I'm forgetting right now, but I'm just going to leave it at that. So I hope that helps some of you and it resonates. And if there's one or two things you can change just to improve your reading and to maybe bop you up with your progression to the next level, then I've done my job. Thank you very much and love to you all. Bye.